Welcome back to the Pleb Underground. I hope you guys had a great weekend. We are the signal without the slop. And today, let's see, Bitcoin, 86,282, 258 and change at the time that we are live. And the block height is, where are we? The block height, 927,995. Very nice. Bitcoin, not dead, but some people are definitely worried this morning. Don't worry, guys. I scoured Bitcoin Twitter for the one chart that shows us. This time it's different, and the model is not broken. Anyways, we're going to take a look at that. Yeah, we've got a whole bunch of Hopium charts to kick it off. Well, not really that much. But anyways, the CFTC news. So we covered that last week, but it was a two-parter. So we're just going to review that. We've got some news from Klarna, right? More Hopium, more Bitcoin Hopium, right? Yeah, you know the deal. We're going to dive into that story and actually give you the truth about it. Is Klarna really going to be using Bitcoin? Let's take a look. Brazil's largest bank recommends Bitcoin allocation. Wow, that's a huge surprise. Yeah, not so much. Not so much. Anyways, Bitcoin treasury companies. Apparently, everyone was all excited about them stacking. Not seeing so much news around all the ones that are selling, though. Right? How come everybody's quiet on that? Well, we're not going to be quiet on that. All right. We're also, for the fails, we're going to take a look at we're going to take a look at some gold stuff and more banking accountability. And you may have not heard of the Boss Challenge. We are going to dive into it. That's right. Bitcoin open source software development challenge. Do you want to be a Bitcoin developer? We're going to take a look at that really quickly. And of course, right, you can't finish the day without a reminder. If you haven't signed the petition yet for Samourai, if you think that privacy doesn't affect you, think about that. Rethink that. Go and sign the petition, okay? Because by the time our privacy is taken away, it will be too late, okay? We will not have the luxury of having these discussions. Anyways, I probably should have saved that for the end. All right, guys, you know the deal. We're going to give a shout out to the Pleb Underground sponsor, Archimedes Emporium, and we're going to be right back. We're going to dive into all this fun. Here we go, guys. Pleb Underground is sponsored by Archimedes Emporium. Discover the pinnacle of precision engineering, starting with their Bitcoin logo wall clock, meticulously machined in Maine from a solid block of aerospace-grade aluminum, ensuring unparalleled durability and performance. Experience the difference of a product made without compromise. Head on over to Archimedes Emporium. All right, so let's kick it off here with a post from @Namcios. Very bizarre, guys. Very bizarre. Bitcoin had 5 Bart Simpson patterns. Actually, it did another one this morning. So we're up to 6. We're up to 6 Barts at this point. And no, don't worry, guys. This is not the chart that tells us that we're going to the moon. However, I am going to point out that I don't recall seeing Barts in bear markets, not like this. So maybe it's a good way to kick this off, right? Maybe that's what we need, right? We need the Barts to scare, right? To scare the noobs out of this market. Anyways, yeah, look, Namcios is just putting out the Hopium here, so it's fantastic. And we are going to pick it right up because we need it, especially today at 86K with Bitcoin dead at 86K. All right, guys, here it is. The model, the one model that shows it's not over. No, I'm kidding. So Fidelity's wave model nailed it. So it's kind of interesting because Fidelity also at the same time, there's a clip of, I don't remember who it is from Fidelity talking some very bearish comments about Bitcoin. And yet Fidelity's wave model shows something a little bit different. And that's right, guys. The projection for wave 5, 151K. 151K, guys. We haven't seen it yet. Look at that. Bitcoin's road to maturity. I'm going to say it's not over yet. I'm still buying the Hopium. I was having some discussions this morning, And I'm still here. I am still here cheerleading, thinking this time it's different. And it's not over. So yeah, sticking to it. Sticking to it. Not going anywhere. All right. Let's go take a look at what's going on with Brazil. Oh, hold on. Here we go. Phil, what are you saying here? BTC RSI on the weekly has been bottomed. Yeah, man. I totally agree. All of these indicators are essentially showing bottom at these particular prices. And of course, I know it doesn't necessarily mean anything. However, right? However, we just can't help but pay attention to those indicators and say to ourselves, well, this is a reflection of current market sentiment. And if this is the bottom, at 86K, there's a whole lot of people that sold that are going to be in big trouble. You can already see those comments from guys like Luke Gromans, right? Who, of course, for whatever reason, everybody's just shilling what this guy says. Like, is he a fortune teller or something like that? None of these people know shit. And I'm not sitting here telling you, oh, I know something. They don't. No, I don't. I am just willing to admit that I don't know shit. And I'm not just going to cover it up with a bunch of fancy language to make you feel smart because you're listening to me. Okay? It's not my deal. I just don't care. All right. Anyways, yeah, good times. Hey, good morning, Bitcoin. Bitcoin Shango. You really want me to chart it? Do you really want me to work? Have you seen my charting? Okay, yeah, let's dive into the Brazil stuff. Yep, this is true. And actually, okay, that's right. No one predicted the March 2020 run down to 3,800. And as well, when we were down there, there were a whole bunch of people that were already in that had already seen a few Bitcoin cycles, right? Had already built up a following, and they were calling for, guys like Tone Vase, right? They were calling for like 1,700 Bitcoin, $1,700 Bitcoin at 3,800 and change. If you actually listened to that and you waited for that, you got wrecked. Okay, you didn't end up. We never saw that price. We never saw it again. Okay, but if you stacked in the 3K range, you're a freaking king. Because that's where we stopped. Anyways, okay, sorry, I stopped. We continue. Continue with the news. Oh no, oh no, don't go there. Let's be critical, right? Let's be critical. I'm just a random human that's wrong about a lot of shit. We're all broken clocks. Just very few people are willing to talk about being a broken clock. I know. I'll move on. Okay, so Brazil's largest bank advises 3% Bitcoin allocation for client. Yeah, I know, right, Frederick? It's fucking bearish. 3%. Yeah. I feel like they want you to chase it, right? They want you to chase it. Okay, so why, right? Why is this so important in Brazil? So, analysts at the Sao Paulo-based lender said investors face a dual challenge from global price uncertainty and domestic currency fluctuations. They argued that these conditions necessitate a new approach to portfolio construction. The bank recommends Bitcoin weight of 1 to 3% to capture returns uncorrelated with domestic cycles, while we have banks here in the US which are recommending 4%. And somehow that's, I don't know, that to me it's all the same. 3-4%. This is pennies in front of the steamroller. And again, I get it, right? Not everybody has the same conviction. Not everybody has, we don't all have the same responsibilities, the same lifestyle. However, I think we could do better than 3 to 4% here across the world, knowing what we know about Bitcoin, right? Okay. So hold on a second. We're getting some hopium here out of Bitcoin Shango. For the record, the price will skyrocket next week. How do I know? It's because, that's when you get paid. Yeah, of course. That is something too, right? Every single time. So every single time I would buy Bitcoin, the price would go down. So there you go. I don't know why. And I swear that happens to so many of us, right? Like you buy it and the price goes down. And then if for whatever reason you sell some, the price goes up. You can't win. Just cannot win. Anyways, doesn't matter. Make a difference. All right. So the whole thing about the CFTC, right? There we go. See, Frederick's got it. I recommend 3% fiat allocation to pay bills, spending. Exactly. Right. Like again, depends on your lifestyle, but for the people that live on a Bitcoin standard, right? To Vikingo's point, you want to stay solvent, right? And the reason you want to stay solvent is because you don't want to find yourself dumping out, having to sell Bitcoin at price points that you may not be okay with. Anyways, all right. So the CFTC thing, right? We all know we had Chairman Pham, right, that announced last week the digital asset pilot program. We're aware of that. We already talked about this. Okay. The second piece to it, though, which was announced on Friday, so there was two announcements out of the CFTC, and this is where I missed that because I only talked about the first one, not realizing the second one. But yeah, it looks like they've eliminated outdated and overly complex guidance that penalize the crypto industry. And the withdrawal of the guidance enables the CFTC to continue its ongoing work to implement the recommendations in the president's working group on digital asset markets. So there you go. We're seeing all of this move in the right direction. Hey, Andy, good morning. But yeah, it was two specific things that happened one after another. They didn't happen on the same day, right? That first announcement from Chairman Pham regarding the digital asset program, that happened more towards the middle of the week. And then this was a secondary announcement. So wheels are turning. Things are in motion, right? Okay, Klarna. Let's dive into this Klarna crap. So many people are excited, right? And I appreciate Bitcoin Archive, right? This isn't a stick it to him kind of thing. It's just more about our desire for Hopium. Payment company Klarna to add Bitcoin and crypto to its platform. How many times did they actually mention Bitcoin? I'm going to give you a hint. The number starts with 0. All right, so let's see who they are working with. So they signed a research partnership with Privy. By the way, Privy's a shitcoin. It's a shitcoin exchange company. Anyways, that'll make a difference. The leading wallet infrastructure platform and a Stripe company to explore, research, and co-design potential wallet solution to power a new generation of crypto products for Klarna users. The agreement follows Klarna's recent launch of its own stablecoin. Not the launch of its integrated Bitcoin service or any of that. The launch of its own stablecoin, Klarna USD, in partnership with Tempo and Bridge. Privy powers over 100 million accounts for 1,500 plus developers today. Here we go, guys, including crypto-native platforms like OpenSea, Hyperliquid. Help users orchestrate billions in crypto and stablecoin movements every month. This is not Bitcoin news, guys. This is just more shitcoin shenanigans. Again, I understand the overall picture that we're supposed to sit there and pretend like, yeah, you know, this is adoption. Sure, I get it. It's adoption. Make no mistake. This is all about stablecoins. That's all this is about. This is not Bitcoin news. That's all it is. My favorite. The eternal paper Bitcoin. And man, we were so excited about these guys, right? They're going to buy Bitcoin. They're going to hold Bitcoin. Everyone's going to be excited to hand the money so that they can issue more shares, even with dwindling operating revenue, so that they can buy more Bitcoin. So good. How come they couldn't afford to hold it? Kind of interesting because you've got a whole lot of, you know, some, I guess you'd say some fairly OG Bitcoiners that are kind of behind and working with these businesses. And you'd think that they would have learned something about this space by now, right? That you're not going to be able to time the market. You're not going to do that. So what you need, and I know, again, right, unpopular and boring, it's a business that needs to have operating income that covers daily operations. The business should also be profitable. The business should have free cash flows. Okay. If the businesses don't have income, even though the money is fake, guess what? They can't afford to play the game and hang on to the Bitcoin. Okay. The key is how much you hang on to. These people can't even afford to keep the lights on. What the hell made anybody think they were going to be able to hang on to their Bitcoin? You know, this is and I got to agree with the angry Chihuahua. You know, I think that we were definitely robbed of higher Bitcoin valuations because of this crap, because of these Bitcoin treasuries. I do think so. Anyways, let's go have some fun because now we're going to talk about the banks. That's right. Last week we showed that funny clip with Jamie Dimon, right? The U.S. bank regulator just said JP Morgan, Bank of America, and Citi could face fines for debanking Bitcoin firms. Narrator, they will not be facing fines. And if anyone does face a fine, it is a pay-to-play scenario where you're simply just watching a show about somebody seemingly being penalized for poor banking practices and behavior. But make no mistake, okay? A slap on the wrist for a business that can create money out of thin air means nothing. It means nothing. Never forget that in the great financial crisis, winners were picked, losers were picked, and nobody was penalized. Nobody went to jail. Nothing happened. Okay? Just remember that. And the regulators were all there, guys. Regulators were all there. Lessons learned, all that stuff. Yeah. No. Okay? Because that's not how it works. The little peons like you and me, we go to jail. Right? But these guys? And if they do go to jail, it's because they just didn't play the game right or it was agreed upon. Anyways. So, are they really going to be getting penalized? I didn't see any evidence of that in any way. U.S. regulator exposes 9 major banks that debanked crypto with inappropriate restrictions. The OCC's findings clash with recent claims from banks, right, like JP Morgan. Oh my God, we are surprised, right? Debanking typically occurs when banks decide it is safer to sever ties with certain customers rather than risk regulatory scrutiny. So it's got nothing to do with regulations, as we know. It is the bank, a person at the bank, that decides to debank you. Individual decision, maybe. In the case of crypto businesses, the pressure has often come indirectly. Oh, look at that. No way. We're surprised through warnings, consultations, or guidance that banks interpret as cautionary notes from their regulators. So in other words, no one did anything wrong. We just chose to debank you. Yeah. One example referenced in the broader debate occurred when the FDIC encouraged banks to pause crypto-related activities without issuing a direct prohibition. That kind of communication, combined with compliance fears, made the sector a high-risk area for banks to service and left crypto firms struggling to maintain basic operational accounts. And lo and behold, this is where you get the signature banks and the SVG banks that could be sank like a stone by people like Peter Thiel, who then come in, right? They come in a year later, 2 years later, and they offer the exact same service that they helped sink like a stone. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Anyways, earlier this month, JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon recently rejected claims that the bank closes accounts based on political considerations. Really? Well, we actually ended up showing that interview, and we're just going to give everybody a quick recap on that.
Things and stuff like that. So, and I can't talk about an individual account. We do not debank people's religious or political affiliations. We do debank them. They have religious and political affiliation. We debank people who are Democrats. We debank people who are Republicans. We've debanked different religious folks. Never was that for that reason. And
that's right, guys. The main takeaway, JP Morgan, specifically just the banks, they don't care what your political affiliation is. They're just going to debank you, okay? I love it when they say the quiet part out loud. It's like, it's got nothing to do with your political affiliation. We'll just debank you no matter who you are. Yeah, thanks. Thanks. We know that. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Okay. Anyways, we're done making fun of JP Morgan and all of the talking out the two sides of his mouth. Let's take a look at the gold. So obviously, guys, we know, right? Gold, new all-time highs. All kinds of people got excited. As Magoo pointed out, there were accounts that used to just be all like, oh yeah, Bitcoin only, and now all of a sudden they're like, yeah, gold's okay. Gold's okay. Look, again, to each their own, right? I get it. You know, gold is a hedge against humanity. Right? If you think that the whole entire world is just going to completely explode and it's going to become the apocalypse and you're going to be, handing people shavings of gold for food and stuff like that, fair enough. I get it. Okay. Personally, I'm an optimist, even though I don't sound like it, but I am an optimist. That's why I believe in Bitcoin. I believe in the future with Bitcoin. And as a result, to me, Bitcoin is more about the optimistic future. But the point I'm trying to make is this, right? we're never going to be able to stop people from trying to capitalize on other people's ignorance or therefore trying to capitalize even on their willingness to part with their money for what they believe is an investment. And of course, I sometimes think that this comes out every time gold goes up. Some companies have made nearly $3 billion USD selling counterfeit gold to domestic and overseas buyers. And this is a warning against buying gold from China. But make no mistake, guys, a local vendor can do this too, right? This is not something that is specific to China.
造假分子太猖狂了，这什么东西？这什么东西？竟然还敢刻租金999几个字，20克，20克就应该是20克。我这称来怎么还能多着呢？20.06啊，这不胡扯一样吗
？Gonna missing some weight there.
租金999。
Anyway, stay vigilant out there, guys. Right? There's always going to be somebody out there that's going to try to pull a fast one on you. It's just the nature of the beast. It really is. And you got to be careful. The boss challenge. All right. You probably didn't hear about this. This is a post, or maybe you did. Post from Chain Code Labs. The boss challenge is back. Start your career in Bitcoin open source software and change your life forever. I don't know about that change your life forever stuff. Okay. But if you're interested, right, because there's a whole lot of people that complain about Bitcoin coding and how it goes and blah, 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 and do what I say and all that tyrannical crap. Well, here's your chance, right? If you want to learn to code, or you already know how to code and want to step it up and want to become a part of the conversation at that level, this is a good entry point, right? Start your career in Bitcoin open source. And of course, the link to this is in the show notes. And if this is not necessarily your cup of tea, right? There's also Austin Bit Devs. You can go check that out. And they, I remember when I had Austin on the show, he was explaining how he created a whole introductory course to coding. If I'm not mistaken, it was coding for Nostr. So there's all kinds of stuff like this available. If you want to become a Bitcoin coder, well, here you go. All kinds of avenues for this. Yeah, that's right. I know, Art, you're surprised, right? China selling fake knockoffs? It's crazy. Nobody believes it. Nobody believes that. I know I don't. All right, guys. Not the final reminder. I'm going to remind you guys about this tomorrow as well, but it's happening this Friday. So unless something huge happens, unfortunately, Keone is going to start serving out his 5-year sentence. Guys, the link is in the show notes. If we don't make noise, I know that some people don't want to believe this. However, if you've ever worked in any business, you know the way that it works, sadly, is that the squeaky wheel gets the grease. You don't squeak, no grease. It's the same thing when it comes to stuff like this, okay? If there is nobody making noise, then no one's going to pay attention, right? And why is nobody paying attention? Because nobody's making noise. So it's really nice to see that people are making noise, but we got to continue. Anyways, all right, guys. That's it. We are done for now, but guess what? Back tonight with Bitcoin tonight. Humble and Ulrich are going to be joining me. All three of us going to be sitting there. It's not a round table anymore. That's it. It's a rebrand. We've totally rebranded it. It's now Bitcoin Tonight. And every time I say it, I just picture that moon playing the piano with the McDonald's. This is how you know that everything is a psyop. Because I'm remembering something from like 40 years ago. And that's what sticks in my head when I say Bitcoin Tonight. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are going to be, it's not the Bitcoin Triumvirate, okay? Or maybe it's the Bitcoin Pentaverate of idiots. Okay, I could just speak for myself, not Humble and Ulrich. I don't think they're idiots, but I can be an idiot. Anyways, yeah, but guys, That's what's happening tonight. 8 p.m. Join us. We've got a whole lot of stuff. We're going to go through so much drama. Ulrich put together a hell of a show, and I'm super excited to be petty and to vent my frustrations and all that good stuff. Guys, have a great rest of the day. Don't get down on this Bitcoin being dead at 85K action. Okay, if it makes you feel that bad, just walk away from the screen. Okay, walk away from the screen. Mr. Market is going to give you a completely different price at some other point in time. Okay, have a good one, guys. I'll see you later tonight. Take it easy.